problem when people start trying to reset it.
Do you want to just... Oh, yeah. Okay, there. Everything's set, and then you press...
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Round 4 is underway. I have the white pieces, and I decide to open it with 1d4. My opponent plays the Dutch defense, and I respond with my trusty weapon to bishop g5. And my opponent does not respond with a great move. He plays 2 knight f6, which allows me to take the knight and give black this super uncomfortable structure with the doubled e-pawns in front of his king. And I respond with moves that are well in my preparation. Play c4 and queen b3, moves to target the weakened d5 square. And not only that, but b7 is also loose. So black should do something about it. And he plays a poor move here, b6, as this simply creates a bunch of light square weaknesses on the queen side. And it might not become apparent yet, but later you'll see how I can exploit this. So I develop my knight to c3, putting more pressure, which basically forces him to take on c4. But now my bishop gets out and we can trade. And this is definitely favorable for me because my queen is very active on c4. And it's difficult for black to find a way to complete his development since my queen is also hindering black from castling short. So my opponent tries to put his bishop on d6, and later he's going to maybe try to castle queenside, but this will not work very well. I continue my development with knight g to e2. This also hints at knight f4 ideas in the future. And the knight on e2 is simply much better placed than on f3. So I play this move h4. The idea is to secure the f4 square in case I want to land a knight there, as g5 is going to be hard to pull off with my pawn on h4. So my opponent keeps developing as if nothing is wrong, but there are so many issues now that black needs to solve right away. White simply has a crushing advantage right out of the opening here. I also apologize for the camera angle in this one, as there is some glare around the chess clock, which makes it really hard to see the time. So after thinking for a little while, I played the move rook to c1, just a natural developing move to the semi-open c file, a move that I know will be useful later. Now my opponent decides to castle queenside, and this will definitely not pan out well for him. Alright, so the first step is queen to a6 check, forcing the king to b8, and now, after knight to b5, there's already a mate into threat on a7 and on c7. So there isn't much to do here for black. He gives a spite check on b4, and I go to f1, and in order not to get mated, black has to give up a piece on c5 here, as now there is no mate on c7. So I must either take the knight or take on a7. It doesn't really matter which one I do first, but I take on a7. And now the knight is free to be captured. I do spend quite a bit of time here. I believe it was because I was worried about stuff on the d file, as you can see that my rook on c1 is the only piece that is stopping black from actually delivering a checkmate on the back rank on d1, since my knight on e2 covers the escape square. My rook is thankfully there to prevent this checkmate idea. Okay, here you see my opponent is trying to be really tricky with queen to c5, because if I take the queen, then he mates me on d1, which is incredible. So in view of this, I quickly decide to trade the queens, which is probably not the best decision objectively, as I could have probably mated black with the queen still on the board, but I saw this very easy simplification, and now I'm simply a full piece up in the endgame. And it does take me quite a bit of time to convert this, but I know that I will get the job done in the end, as long as I do not blunder large amounts of material here. So I play this b4 move to try to fork on c6, but he trades, which is definitely good for me. I want to trade the pieces. It'll make my task a lot easier. My pawns on the king side are still very healthy, so it should not be an issue if we trade off all the pieces. So, falling a little bit behind on the moves, but I think we are at the correct position again. We both blitz out very natural moves, and now black pretty much just has to hope that I blunder something, because there's absolutely no counterplay or any targets to attack for the full piece.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry.
So we play some moves here to try to trade off a set of rooks. My opponent, of course, declines all the trades. And now is actually where I start to go a little bit wrong. And you might be wondering, how can I possibly go wrong in this position? I have everything covered. I've coordinated pieces, a really nice knight on d4. But instead of trying to win the kingside pawns, I decide to go after a different pawn on b6. But tactically, this just doesn't work out. So you can see this plan starting to go into motion with rook to a4. Definitely a big mistake already, because black can not only trade another set of pawns on e3, which give black better drawing chances, but I was sort of not paying attention to my rooks, and my opponent missed a tactical shot. Rook takes b5 to try to win a pawn. It's just one pawn, but my remaining pawns on e3 and a2 would not have been very impressive. So it is definitely possible that I could have butchered this endgame, but even then, it was still completely winning with precise play. So I take on f4, I create a passed pawn, and now we both start to just shuffle our pieces, and black will keep giving as many checks as he can. So I tried to fork on e5, but black has this in-between check. Again, excuse my lack of endgame technique here. I definitely should have just taken h6 a while ago. But now my rook just gets to h6, and there's basically nothing black can hope for here. My opponent seems to be creating at least some shreds of counterplay. But now that I have played the move a4 to secure the b5 pawn, if he does decide to take on f2, then my king will find safety on f5, and then black's king will promptly become mated on the back ranks. So now here I just have a mate in 2, starting with rook to d7 and then rook to c8. But for some reason I decided to go totally the wrong direction, and now it's going to take a few more moves to mate. Yeah, with this sequence of moves it went from mate in 2 to now mate in 9. Really not sure why I missed rook to d7 there.
Good game.
I think I have the black, right? Yeah. I don't know. It's just I like when the
My
D
opponent stays off mate
matter.
for at least one more
It's
move.
true.
It's
Yeah.
just, I have OCD sometimes.
We don't know who will be the black.
But now there's
Yeah,
nothing
it's true.
left to
White player
do,
next
since
time.
I am going to be mating on h8 after the spite checks run out.
Oh, that's it.
Now it's finally over, as the king has the f8 square, in case black tries to go for stalemate. And that is all.